Hey everyone! So as architects, we're all about designing and building the next big thing, right? The shiny new systems. But you know what? Our job doesn't stop there. Today, we're going to talk about a skill that's just as critical, but way too often ignored: how to bring a system to a graceful end. Let's dive in.
Okay, I want you to really think about this for a second. What comes to mind? Is it your main production database? That public API getting hammered with traffic? Maybe the payment gateway? We've all got those systems that make us a little nervous, but I bet the real answer is not what you think it is.
Yep, that's the one. The most dangerous system is that old server humming away in a dark corner of the data center that nobody's dared to touch in 5 years. You know the one. It's probably unpatched, it's definitely undocumented, and it's tangled up in a web of dependencies you can't even begin to imagine. This isn't just technical debt, folks. It's a ticking time bomb. And defusing a bomb like that? It's not about just yanking the plug and hoping for the best. No way. It requires a controlled demolition, not a chaotic collapse. And trust me, getting this right is absolutely essential for the health of your entire tech ecosystem. Just look at the two paths you can take here. On one side, you've got the graceful sunset. Costs are planned out, you methodically patch up security risks, and your team gets that awesome sense of accomplishment from cleaning things up. On the other side, well, it's chaos. Unexpected costs pop up everywhere, massive security holes are suddenly wide open, and your team is burned out, getting paged at 3 a.m. for a zombie system. The choice here? It's pretty obvious, isn't it?
So, just like any real-life controlled demolition, a graceful sunset starts with a solid blueprint. This is not something you can just wing. The planning phase is where we, as architects, lay the entire foundation for a clean, successful decommissioning project.
And getting these three things right at the beginning is just crucial. First, you have to define the scope with surgical precision. Are we retiring just one little service, or is it the whole virtual machine it lives on? Second, get the right people in the room. And I'm not just talking about engineers. You're going to need folks from the business side, from support, maybe even from the legal team. And finally, you have to define what success even looks like. What does a clean exit actually mean for this project? 0 errors? All data archived? Get that written down. All right, here we go. This is the trickiest part of the whole process. This is the detective work. Before you can even think about knocking down any walls, you have to meticulously map out every single wire, every pipe, every connection running through that system. This is dependency analysis. Really, what it boils down to is answering two fundamental questions about the system you're retiring. What do you talk to, and who talks to you? If you miss even one of those connections, you could cause a major outage somewhere completely different in your company. And these are the big ones you've got to hunt for. You have to look upstream to see where its data comes from, and then downstream to see who's consuming that data. You need to find every internal service that's hitting its APIs, and any external partners who might be hooked in. And please don't forget the silent killers, the scheduled jobs and cron tasks that only run at midnight on the last Tuesday of the month. Pro tip: your logging and monitoring tools are your best friends here. They hold all the secrets. To make this all feel a little more real, let's use a super common example. We're going to imagine we're sunsetting an old, clunky monolith application because it's being replaced by a shiny new multi-cloud platform. We'll use this scenario to see how the next steps play out. Okay, so we've got our blueprint. We've mapped all the dependencies. Now it's time for the demolition itself. This phase is all about careful sequencing, making sure the data migration is flawless and communicating with crystal clarity. The execution really has 4 key parts. First, the data migration. This has to be careful, secure, and fully validated. Think about your archival strategies and have a rollback plan ready. Second, communication. Seriously, you cannot over-communicate the plan. No one should be surprised when the old system disappears. Third is the final shutdown itself. And you know what? If you did everything right, this should be the most boring, anticlimactic part of the entire project. And finally, you hold a postmortem to verify it all worked and to document what you learned for the next one. So in our case study with the monolith, what does that communication look like? It's something as simple and direct as an email to all departments saying, "Hey everyone, quick heads up. Starting next Friday at 5 p.m., the old app's login page is going to automatically redirect you to the new platform." It's simple, direct, and leaves 0 room for confusion. So let's bring everything we've talked about together into one simple, actionable checklist. Think of this as your personal roadmap to a guaranteed clean exit every single time. Here it is, in just 5 steps. Plan. Get your foundation right. Analyze. Do that detective work. Migrate. Move the important stuff safely. Communicate. Keep everyone in the loop.
And finally, execute. Pull the plug and make sure it's really off. This 5-step process is what turns a potentially chaotic disaster into a controlled, professional, and successful project.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. You now have the blueprint for a controlled demolition. So take a look around your own architecture. I guarantee you there is a forgotten system, a dusty piece of legacy tech, just waiting for a graceful sunset. The only question is, which one are you going to pick first?